Well, another 13 Sports is Coach show here. I'm with Manhattan Girls Golf Coach Paige McCarthy. Coach, really appreciate you taking the time and the state champions of 6A for girls golf. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we'll start with that, right? You guys are the 6A state champions, and I think your smile says it all. So now that you reflect on just about a week ago now that it's that state golf wrapped up, just what was it about just going down there and picking up your guys' state title there just last week?
Uh, from the minute we got there, the girls, they just seemed so comfortable there and not stressed. And the night before, the Sunday night before the first day of play, Maddie Myers, our number one, she said, "You guys just go out and treat it like it's just golf. Treat it like any other tournament, and don't put extra stress on ourselves." And they did. I mean, they got out there right away, and they meant business. So, and the girls play a lot there in the summer in Central Links competitions and things, so they feel very comfortable there. And 3 weeks prior, we had shot 297 there also, so they went in there with that confidence.
And so, you guys obviously one of your biggest rivals, as we know, is Washburn Rural. And so when you go in there and take out one of the other top dogs in 6A, does that make it feel better for you guys? Or did you kind of have that mindset of, hey, as you kind of mentioned, we're going in here to win no matter who's going to be stepping on this golf course?
Right, and I think that's it. It didn't matter who it was, and I feel like with Washburn Rural in the last several years, we have almost become partners, because golf has taken off so much in the eastern part of the state that now anytime that we can compete well and beat them, it's pretty sweet.
And you guys shot, I'm looking at the stats here, coach, 593 for a total. That's pretty impressive. So, golf is a mental game. There's so many different things of, it's more of a individualized sport. And how do you as a coach, when you're out there and you see a player really doing well or somebody might be struggling, what do you
Hmm.
kind of tell them as they go through, an 18-hole course?
I think it kind of depends on the player. We are kind of learning what works best for them. In fact, the first day, I think it was the first day, Kat Ball was playing pretty well, and I kind of went up behind her, everything good. She gave me the thumbs up, and then she kind of went, like that, like, don't ruin my mojo. I'm doing well. I don't need anything. I'm lasered in. And some of the girls, they really, with live scoring, that has added a new option. I mean, just a new facet to it. Some of them really want to know where they're at and where they stand. And we know who we can tell, hey, you know what, you really need to get going. We're a couple strokes down, you're a couple strokes down. And others, they don't want to know at all. They just want to play their own game. So I think that is part of it. And you have to know, a lot of times I'll walk up, did you go to the homecoming dance? And just try to get, because the rounds take 5.5, 6 hours a lot of times, and that's asking too much of someone to concentrate the entire time. So it's kind of figuring out what they need at that time. Do they need something light, or do they need just you know what, you're a good golfer, you didn't lose your swing, trust it. It just kind of depends on the golfer and the situation.
And you bring up Cat Ball, looking at she took second and he had, Maddie Myers, I mean, both of them pretty close to that first, place title. And to have two players in the top three, I mean, that's pretty impressive itself. And so did you kind of know going in that they could, be in that top five or, be in contention for that number one spot?
I am not that much of a numbers person. The girls will tell you that from the get-go. I just kind of, how we're doing that day, I just focus on the girl. But I thought that we could probably finish pretty well, and if they both could play like they're able, I knew that we'd be right in it. But then Caitlin Logobit is the one that really blew us away. She was the X factor, I think, because Maddie and Kat have been pretty consistent, and then Caitlin, everything came together for 2 days, and that was really fun to see since she was a senior.
So I guess in the game of golf, coach, when you look at somebody's game, when do you know that it's clicking? Meaning, is it the swing off the drive? Is it their, the putting game, or is it the pitching wedge game? When do you know when you see a player, it's starting to click at the right time?
Their posture. It's how I can see from 200 yards away, my assistant and I, we can tell how they're playing pretty much and how they're carrying themselves in between shots. Whether their chins up and they're walking with confidence or if they're a little bit down. Yeah,
So,
that
so,
gets away.
so is body language, is that, I mean, in any sport, it's big, but
Hmm.
especially in the game of golf when it's more individualized, does that, exude more when, if your body language is showing like, hey, I know I'm doing bad, or hey, I'm doing really good? Is body language really get big in the game of golf?
It is, and we can convince ourselves of so much, that we're having a good day or we're having a bad day. We focus on that a lot. Just, tell yourself it's going to be a good day and it's okay. Just recover from that.
So for you, coach, and now let me ask, because I know there's so many different coaches that we talk to, is how many state titles is this now for you as a team, or just that you've been a part of the program?
It's 12 for the golf team, the girls golf team, and that's the most of any sport at Manhattan High. But it's been since 2008 since Manhattan has won one. So we were pretty hungry for that. My Kim Cruisenberry, my assistant, and I, when we took over 7 years ago, we were hoping for the 5-year plan, but we were a little bit behind that. But this one is pretty sweet. And I did help assist. I was assistant coach 2001 to 2004, and we had titles. And I was just a JV coach then, and working, not working a lot with the varsity. And so this is my third one that I've been a part of, but this one is so much sweeter to because the girls, they just, it's not the fact that we won state, but just in the manner in which that happened, that they said, as I didn't know that we set a low record on the first round, and then we beat it by one stroke the next round. And so it was a couple of 1 day records and then a 2 day record. So the girls are flying pretty high.
I would say so. And coach, I'll ask you this because you've just mentioned that you've won some state titles, or you've been a part of some state title teams in the past. And as a coach, it's been, is it like you said, it's been a little while, but do you ever look back at those times and saying, hey, this is what we did, or do you change, how do you go about that when you've been at that stage, you've won it before, but yeah, it's been a little while? Do you use anything that you did back then to kind of maybe implement now, or is it completely different?
The game has changed a lot. The level of girls golf has raised so much, and 5A, 6A golf, these girls are just hitting the ball unbelievably well, and their short game is good. Um, so going back to your original question, is that I think we learned a lot from last year. I don't feel like we had them, or I had them prepared enough for the second day of state, because I think we were only 5 or 7 strokes down in 2023, and then we didn't shoot well. And I think our girls kind of panicked when they stopped uh, hitting the ball quite as well, and we lost a lot of strokes. This year, it really helped so much that we were so deep, the depth that we had 6 girls on any given day that can shoot a good score. And so if I'm having a bad day, they didn't have to panic. They knew that someone likely would pick them up. And that was a huge advantage for us to have the depth that we did. And it's because those girls have worked so hard in the off season and the summers. They're really self-driven.
So I'll ask you, coach, too, something as well, because of, right, winter's coming up here in what, about a month or so. When you can't go on the golf course, let's say, unless you go somewhere warm, how do you practice those things? Do you go to these simulator golf things, or what's that like when it's the off season? If people don't know, if girls golf wants to, I mean, it's the same thing with boys too, because obviously, they have their spring season, but how are you able to practice more when golf courses are, mainly closed, or when it gets really cold outside like that?
Well, these girls do a lot of it on their own. In the off season, they do a lot of working with personal trainers on their strength. And in Manhattan, we don't have a lot of simulators. We don't have one at the school that we have access to at all, or even as a team. So we don't do much in the off season at all, other than when we can meet, a little bit in the summers. They do so much on their own and meeting in the spring and playing and things like that. So, yeah, that's what's been great about this set of girls, is that they know what it takes to win, and they're all athletic. We've got 6 or 8 that they have or do play other sports, and that's huge in the competitiveness.
Well, Coach, I know we went over a lot of different topics, and of course, you guys are the state champions. Is there anything else that I'm missing from, the performance that you guys had, or you said, like, it was a sweet feeling to win your first state title as a head coach? Anything else that I'm missing from the season that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I just hope people really appreciate the caliber of talent that is out there. Not, there is out there now, and I'm not just talking about our team, but the quality of players that are there. If you can go out and watch and see some of these young ladies play, I mean, your jaw will be like mine. I mean, it'll be on the ground. Some of the shots they make, they're pretty astounding. Shots that I only dream about making. Even in my best days, I was not even as close to these girls. And it's just a privilege to get to watch them and play, and coach them every day.
Well, Coach, one last thing that I'm thinking about, when you when you go look at next year, right? Obviously, you're probably thinking about next year, of course. Do you bring back a lot of those players? I believe Kat, maybe some others might be seniors. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you bring back a decent nucleus for next year?
Yeah, we're losing Caitlin and Emily, but we've got Kat, Maddie, Rin, Lily. We've got a couple of girls that are going to be seniors, or even some juniors that I think will contribute very well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited already about next year.
I can imagine so, especially bringing back a decent nucleus from this past season. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time, and congratulations on winning that state title in 6A. And hopefully, here in the next couple of months, you guys can defend that state title once again.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely, Coach. Take care, and thanks again.